Brother,
Yeah.
the meditative training
Yeah.
throughout the day of
Yeah.
the Noble Eightfold Path,
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
please explain? Thank you.
Can. You see, when it comes to daily mindfulness, the daily practice, and how to link it to heedfulness. So heedfulness is ever mindful, constantly meditative. You combine these two, it becomes heedfulness. So if you look at the whiteboard again, what has been explained by the Buddha is very important. He used this word apamada. The Pali word is apamada. So apamada is heedfulness. That's why I wrote here most important. If you are not heedful, the Buddha said you are as if dead. Dhammapada verse 21. He said, heedfulness is the path to the deathless, and the heedful never die. Means you are destined for enlightenment. You only need this quality, and you are guaranteed enlightenment. Whereas the heedless are as if dead, the Buddha said. So, heedlessness is the path to the dead. If you are heedless, you are as if dead. That will take you to the path of the dead. Means you will die. Means the spiritual life is not for you. Spiritually, you are like dead. So this quality, most important, you have to develop. Otherwise, there is no progress, no meditation, nothing. So what is heedfulness? We have to understand. Heedfulness got two parts, based on Dhammapada verse 23. The constantly meditative and ever mindful. If you stick onto these two practices of cultivation, the steadfast one, they will realize the supreme, born-free Nibbana. So what is constantly meditative? The meditation as taught by the Buddha is Noble Eightfold Path. So constantly meditative means constantly cultivating Noble Eightfold Path. That's why it's here. Then ever mindful. That is the other second aspect. So constantly meditative, ever mindful. You add these two, you develop heedfulness. You are considered heedful. So the first thing that you must develop is mindfulness. You have to have mindfulness. That's why that training is very important. That is what daily mindfulness is all about. So in the formal meditation, you cannot get it right. It's very difficult for you to do in the daily life. The reason being, in the daily life, your senses are active. You are fully engaged in life. Do you understand that sentence or not? Your senses are fully engaged in life. Because when you go out into life, you have to be attentive on the road in ahead. You have to be attentive on what you see, especially when you are walking or when you are driving or when you are moving around. So your senses, especially your seeing, hearing, and your thought process, they are very active, they are fully engaged. Then of course you have your senses, other senses like your smell, your taste, and your tactile. And these are the things that is constantly creating sense door consciousness, where you have a consciousness trapped inside your body. So every moment of seeing will give rise to the consciousness, the seeing consciousness, the hearing consciousness, smell, taste, tactile, and thought process. So it's like non-stop. You are fully engaged and your thought moves very fast. If you are not mindful, if you are not heedful, you cannot cope with life. You are heedless, completely heedless, where you don't stand a chance to understand what is going on. That's why most people, when they live life, they are full of fear, worry, anxiety, so much so they can never be with the moment. They are never at peace, they are never calm. That's why they are full of stress, fear, worry, anxiety, then running around, busy doing this, doing that. then one phone call come or one text message come. Nowadays you go to your handphone. So this is making life more sophisticated, because nowadays data, the internet connection, the data that flow through civilization is so much higher compared to 30 years ago. So technology has developed so fast, data has moved so fast. So your mind also has to move equally fast. That's why you cannot keep up with the pace of technology. You cannot survive in this new civilization, this new era. So meditation in daily life also have to evolve. That's the reason why I say you need to have mindfulness, leading to heedfulness. So mindfulness is very important. Develop this first. How to develop this? We go through as a revision. How do you develop mindfulness? Huh? If you don't know, then how to start the cultivation? How do you develop it? First, you must understand, isn't it? What is the T, isn't it? What is mindfulness, isn't it? So what is the T? What is mindfulness? You start from there. That's the reason why I realize a lot of cultivators, a lot of so-called Buddhists or meditators don't understand what sati is. And they go and do all sorts of thought-based meditation thinking that is sati. That's why they can't do it. They cannot get it right. So this is the first thing that you have to overcome in your cultivation. So what is sati? Mindfulness. We better define this. What is sati? Sati equals to what? Of course, the English equivalent is mindfulness. But what really is mindfulness? Because this word is very funny, It consists of what? Two words, isn't it? One mind, one fullness, isn't it? It's like your mind is in fullness. Full of what? They never tell you. If it's full of thought, is it mindfulness? Is it sati? It's not sati, isn't it? So why do they use the word mindfulness? Actually, I have one teacher. My last teacher, old guy. When I told him mindfulness, he said, "You Buddhists, I don't know what are you doing." When you use the word mind, you kill yourself. Means you don't understand what awareness is. To him, the more appropriate word is awareness. But this awareness is equally vague, understand? That's why people cannot understand. To him, it's very clear. We are aware. Understand? Just aware. Aware means what? Attentive. You remember I explained to you the difference between awareness and consciousness. To be conscious is not necessarily aware. Do you understand? You can be conscious of life, but you are never aware of life, where you don't have awareness with it. So to him, awareness is a good word, enough for him. But I realize a lot of people cannot understand. Do you know why? Because I heard one recording by a very famous local monk. During that session, I think they have a discussion, I think. It's something like Q&A and discussion. So one of the students raised a hand. Aware of what? Who is aware? They come up with this type of question. Means the person who asks don't understand. And the gullible thing is, the one who teach also answer the question without knowing the difference. So when they use this word mindfulness, it's worse. Who is mindful? Mindful of what? This sati is just an awareness before the knowing. That's why I add in this word. Before the knowing. The moment you know means the thought arises already. Can you follow? The moment you know means you perceive the word come out already. The concept come out already. When you are aware, that pure perception, no words, no concept, no description, nothing. Seeing things as they are. That is the deep awareness. So when you understand sati is equals to awareness before the knowing, then don't try to know, just aware. But please remember, if you want to live life, you have to know, understand. Otherwise, how to live life? You have to perceive, you have to know, then you have to act, understand, you have to move. But mindfulness can be there. The moment you are aware, you perceive with the awareness within, then you move. Well, all this becomes specific phenomenal awareness. You are not lost in thought. You don't get trapped in the knowing. The trouble with people is they are conscious and they straight away use their perception to perceive and create the word, the concept, and the thought come out. Whereas the aggregate of mind straight away come out. So like you perceive something, okay? Let's say that picture, okay? Or that poster. When you are aware, that is before the knowing, there is no word, nothing. Just that thing. Like a baby, newborn baby, they see. That is the direct seeing, the pure awareness, the pure perception. No words, no description. The moment the word, the description come out means what? You are perceiving it according to memory, knowledge. That's how it creates the words, concept. Then this one become what? A very nice poster or an art, Chinese art. Then got Mandarin words and all those things. Then that perception will create meaning for this thing. Then you will start to entangle yourself. Or you start to associate with what you see. The description of it all come out. That's how your thought proliferates. And when you are lost in thought, you are not aware anymore. You are not aware anymore. And most people live life that way. They continue to think, then they continue to react, stir their mind, and do a lot of heedless things. That inability to be aware make them heedless. You can follow. So to be aware, you just need to be with the moment in awareness. Don't try to know. That's why the Buddha says standing aware, walking aware. This one, the awareness and the movement as one. You understand? Not ask you to note standing, then the thought come out. No, just aware, silent. When you bow, body and mind moves as one, aware. Then when you bow until the awareness comes, when your mindfulness is already there, you will know. No word on. The awareness and the thing as one. Then you realize sati is just that awareness. The specific phenomenal awareness. The true mind is aware of the thing. That's it. Finish. Then everything you do, turning, moving, stretching, bending, whatever, just aware. And that cultivation is very important. Do you know why that cultivation is very important? It keeps your mind silent, quiet, aware. Less and less sankhara, less and less thinking. But to maintain that state, you need to have initial wisdom, yoniso manasikara. Otherwise, your mind keep on stirring. reacting. You cannot accept the reality of the moment. Whatever that happened in life, whatever that the individual do, you cannot understand that people are just the way they are. The world is the world. Condition like that, things will be. Without that wisdom and understanding, you keep on get yourself entangled with life. Every moment of seeing consciousness, you want to comment, you want to react. Then sometimes you hear something, you react. Sometimes there is fear, sometimes there is worry, there is anxiety when things don't go your way. Because your mind lacks wisdom, lacks mindfulness, lacks understanding. When you are mindful and aware, no matter what comes in, you are aware. After you are aware, then how it moves you, how it creates conditioning in you and want you to react out of it, you see them. That is the power of awareness. But without developing it, you cannot see all these things. That's why you live life heedlessly. You don't know what is going on. You don't know how you function as a human being. How you become angry also you don't know. How you become fearful also you don't know. That is heedless living. But when you are mindful, you are aware that the mind has become agitated. The mind has become unhappy, fearful. That's the important aspect of mindfulness that you must develop. That's why I gave you the hint. Whenever you are not peaceful, not mindful or not aware, the evil roots are there. That is to teach you to see the evil root. Why are you not peaceful? Means your mind has reacted, stirred. That's why you are not peaceful. Means something disturbing you. You are unhappy. Things don't go your way. You got things that worry you. Fear, worry, anxiety. You have problems. It can be any other First Noble Truth problem. Health problem, financial problem, relationship problem, or even any of the things related to the eight reality, old age, sickness, and death. Then sometimes your loved ones, you worry about their health too, their whatever condition. Then sometimes when they grew up, you worry about their life. You worry that they may not be successful in life. So all these are attachment, craving, clinging that cause your mind to develop this fear, worry, and anxiety. If you lack mindfulness, you cannot see all this. And you are trapped. And when you are trapped, you become entangled. That's what the First Noble Truth of dukkha is. The Buddha said there is a noble truth that explains to you clearly what suffering is. That's why he called the noble truth of dukkha. Means there is a noble truth that explains clearly to you what are the eight conditions that can bring about suffering and affliction if you don't have the wisdom when you encounter them. When you encounter all these eight conditions without understanding, suffering will arise. That is the First Noble Truth. So mindfulness is for you to develop the ability to be sensitive, to be aware of all these First Noble Truth reality when they arise, and how it entangles you, and how it conditions you into negativity of mind state, how the evil root comes to be, how it started with the self-delusion, personality. So see all this, understand all this. Develop the understanding, the wisdom, then reverse the self-delusion so that you are not caught in all this self-delusion, activity or movement. And this is what heedfulness is all about. To be heedful is to be aware inside, to see clearly, to observe clearly what happened to you, how you become like that, how you end up in suffering, how you end up in affliction, how the evil roots comes to be. Then when you see all this, you start to understand then how to reverse all this. Then you start to develop the understanding of the beauty of the Buddha's teaching. Why his advice is to avoid all evil, so that all this evil did not arise. Suffering need not be. Without mindfulness, you cannot be aware. You cannot be sensitive. You cannot see all this. That's why the first training is mindfulness. You have to get it right. So understand what is mindfulness first. Awareness before the knowing. So every time I do my meditation, I remember this. I just aware. Formal meditation, by now you understand. Very easy. Relax, aware. No need to do anything. Because when the thought is not there, you are in the meditative state. You just have to relax and maintain silence, awareness. That is your true mind. That's how you meditate. So in life, it is the same. But you have difficulty because in life, if formal meditation also you cannot do it, you don't stand a chance when you come out. You are fully engaged and your thought become active. You are every moment of consciousness, seeing, hearing, smell, taste, tactile, thought process, the thinking proliferate like anything. That's why the Buddha called it anusaya, asava, keep on coming out. Of course, it starts with mental hindrance. Then it becomes habitual tendency. From habitual tendency, it becomes latent. So this latent tendency is whatever that you develop through the heedless thinking, heedless reaction to sense experience until it becomes habitual, then latent. That's why anusaya, asava, they all come to be. Initially, it's just a five mental hindrance that hinders your mind from entering the meditative state. But that is bad enough. So when you understand the teaching, you straight away will know how to deal with it. Means I don't fight the mental hindrance. Because these mental hindrances are there because of a reason. I lack the spiritual faculty. So I develop this spiritual faculty. So when you start to develop this five spiritual faculties through constantly listening to the Dhamma, to develop the understanding. So let's review it again. If I constantly listen to the Dhamma, what did I share with you regarding this five spiritual faculties? Actually, it's the Buddha's teaching. But people go and separate the five spiritual faculties and the five mental hindrances. They teach as separate Dhamma. They are actually a pair, complement each other. Without these five spiritual faculties, the five mental hindrances straight away come to be. And when the hindrances are there, it will hinder your mind from entering the meditative state. That's why you cannot meditate in the form of meditation. That's why they go for method and technique, to prevent the five mental hindrances from arising and disturbing them. That's how they go into one-pointedness, concentration, thought-based meditation. They got method, technique, and all those things, and they do that. But if you understand that these are not necessary, you only need to develop the spiritual faculty, then why not you give this a try? Then through the teaching, the Buddha already explained. These five spiritual faculties are spiritual mind state that can allow you to understand spiritual teaching and awaken. Then when they are there, the hindrances are no more. So I have to focus on this. Without this, I cannot understand spiritual teaching. I cannot progress. Without the spiritual faculty, I am as good as dead. So what is the first spiritual faculty that I have to develop? Faith. Faith means what? Not blind faith. Faith born of understanding who the Buddha is, how wise a being he is. He is not only enlightened, he is fully enlightened, perfect. That's why he is a Sammasambuddha. And because of that, he has this teaching which can make living being enlightened, awaken. So through understanding who he is, how special a being he is, how unique a being he is, and how wonderful this teaching is, our faith in the Buddha and his teaching become unshakable, very strong. Because this is the teaching that I need to free my mind, understand, to develop the possibility of enlightenment, so that I don't have to suffer anymore, so that I don't have to develop any more delusion, so that I know how to live life. I understand life perfectly, clearly. So that faith will push me to cultivate. True or not? When you have that faith, you are willing to give it a try. That's why you go all out and develop virya, spiritual zeal or tenacity, to cultivate this teaching, where you know the importance of having this teaching. Where when you understand it, you realize it, you can become enlightened, like the Buddha. And the Buddha is a very unique being, perfect in wisdom and virtue. You can say, during his time when he arrives, he is the wisest and the most virtuous living being ever to be born. To have such a great being to be your teacher and your guide, your faith will be very strong. So develop this faith very strong. Then after that, determine to cultivate his teaching through virya. So this first two is very easy to develop. Okay? So when you have this, you go all out to cultivate. The third one is what? Sati, mindfulness, which is what NG is asking. Understand? That's why you start from here. After you have developed the faith, the virya, then you start here. And the Buddha's teaching is very simple. If initially you find it difficult, you do your devotional practice. Devotional practice means what? Develop the faith. Understand? The saddha, the virya. Then rejoice. Then make offering. Pay respect. Keep your precept. All the 10 meritorious actions. Do it. And this is how you build up your devotional practice. This is how you develop the Dhamma understanding. And the Buddha always recommends devotional practice, doing the puja everything before you start a Buddhist session. Then after that, closing puja, share merit, transform it. So all this, when you do it properly, then in between, meditate, listen to Dhamma, straighten your view, share merit, transfer merit, perform service, help out in whatever way to develop the sasana. So all this will enable you to partake in all the 10 meritorious actions that the Buddha has taught. So with this, you will develop sati. Because the faith, saddha virya, will make you ever mindful, constantly attentive, listening to Dhamma, also attentive, mindfully. Then whatever you do, pay respect, mindful. Offering puja, mindful. Rejoice, mindful. Whatever you do, action, movement, the four foundation of mindfulness, especially the first foundation, kayanupassana. So when you are in a formal meditation, he recommends anapanasati. Anapanasati is just mindfulness of the in and out breath to train your mind, to develop sati. Then stabilize it until the mind enters sati. After the mind enters sati, then only you have the ability to be mindful in daily life. Do you understand? Means daily mindfulness need to start with a stable sati. Stable sati means you have to develop the form of meditation. Either you develop the spiritual faculty, then stabilize that sati. So when it comes to spiritual faculty, it's the same. Saddha virya develop, you train your mind to have sati. So this is what the first foundation of mindfulness the Buddha recommends, anapanasati. Means mindfulness of the in and out breath. Not go and focus on the breath, concentrate on the breath, or note the breath. None of all this. Just mindful, aware. Then let the mindfulness develop until it's stabilized. Then relax into it, silent. Then when you are silent, it will give rise to the enlightenment factor. So when sati is stabilized, you will experience what they call piti. Piti is an enlightenment factor, spiritual joy, spiritual calmness. Then you relax further, allow it to be more quiet, more refined. You will experience sukhang, but sukhang is not an enlightenment factor. So you don't worry. You can experience it, then don't attach to it, that's it. Don't every time want it to be repeated. Forget about it. Well, after that, your mind only go to another level. After you experience the spiritual blissfulness, which is sukhang, if you relax into it some more, the mind becomes more and more quiet, until it becomes very still, until no more movement, no more activity. That is passaddhi. That is tranquility of mind, stillness of mind, the silent mind. That is your true sati. That is very, very stable, very quiet. So when you reach passaddhi, your mind becomes very subtle, very still. Your anapanasati also no more movement. So there is no more object of meditation. No more breath to make you aware. Because there is no more movement. So during that time, just silence everything and don't do anything. Just aware. You have no more breathing. Stay there. You can stay at the breath, no problem, until the subtle breath becomes very subtle, still. That's what I did in the early days. Then later on, I realized it's better to move it down to the heart. Because finally, it goes down to the heart. That's why I went to the heart straight away. So when the breath becomes very subtle, very still, you will realize passaddhi. Allow it to be in that state for as long as you can. Don't try to create any movement. Don't try to know anything. Until that passaddhi stabilizes, until very stable, then your mind will suddenly enter sati. You know what is mind entering sati, isn't it? The mind is in sati. Means when the mind is in sati, whatever movement and activity that mind is aware, is in sati. Do you understand? That is what the Buddha meant by ever mindful. If your mind is not in sati, you can never be ever mindful. That's why after that I realized, even in the midst of the formal meditation, the slightest movement is like magnified. Then I was so surprised, the subtle breathing, like no more breathing, also come back to me, like very clear. Even the subtle breathing become very clear to that sati, which is more refined. Your mind has entered sati. Then I realize whatever I do after I come out of the formal meditation, everything is in sati. My hand movement, my activity. Even when I want to come out, the awareness is fully with my kaya movement. Then when I move my leg, fully aware. Move my hand, bending, turning, everything fully aware. And there is no word. The awareness follows everything. That's how beautiful that mind is when it has entered sati. Then I realize every moment of hearing is in sati. Smell is in sati. Tactile feeling is in sati. Very clear, fully aware. Then seeing become very different. That seeing is like specific phenomenal awareness. You just see, aware of the phenomena, the movement. It can perceive, but it does not proliferate. You want to understand, it understands. Then it moves. It moves. Then when it wants to reflect, contemplate, it can. But that mind is like trained. Listen to you. It's constantly aware. Then that time, the movement of thought activity or what is like slow motion. You can see that. You can be at the moment of feeling, at the moment of sankhara activity, the movement, you can follow. At the moment of perception, it's like stay there. At the moment of consciousness, it's like freeze there. Then everything is still the normal speed of life. You didn't slow down. But your mindfulness has become so different. It's like you can follow all of this movement. That is the real training. Formal meditation, before you go into it, develop the spiritual faculty. Because once your sati is stabilized, the mind will enter passaddhi. Once it enters passaddhi, you stabilize it, it becomes samadhi. That's why the enlightenment factor, you remember? First factor of enlightenment is what? Sati. The second factor is with sati, you can investigate Dhamma, where you can see very clearly. You are sensitive, you are mindful, you are heedful, you are aware. You know what is going on. That's why you can investigate the teaching, Dhamma investigation, the essential Dhamma that the Buddha teach. You can investigate. Then you realize through this mindfulness, you can see them so clearly and you can put them to test. It stand up to investigation. That's why there is so much joy in you, so much faith in you. Then the faith, the joy become unshakable. That's how from there you develop that virya to drive you to cultivate further. That is the third enlightenment factor. Then when virya drives you, your sati become very stable. Throughout the day you are mindful, your daily mindfulness also stabilized. Then because you constantly listening to the Dhamma, the first and second turning wisdom stabilize. The initial wisdom come to be, yoniso manasikara. Then during your daily life, your mind doesn't stir anymore. Where you have straightened your view. You can see things as they are. You can accept the reality of the moment. You understand cause and effect, dependent origination, condition, arising phenomena, causal phenomena. All this become very clear to you. That's how the enlightenment factor keep on moving. So from sati, you investigate Dhamma. Then after that, your faith become unshakable. Then virya is very strong. So this spiritual faculty develop. Then when your sati become very strong, it will experience piti. That's how you go through the anapanasati process, piti, the fourth enlightenment factor. Then you relax into it, of course you experience sukhang, the bliss. It's not an enlightenment factor, so the Buddha skip it. They say after that you go to pasati. Pasati is tranquility of mind, stillness of mind, the silent mind. That is your meditative part. So you have to hit that in the form of meditation. Then when you hit that, mind enters sati. Then that wisdom, initial wisdom, and the mind enters sati will enable you to have samadhi in the midst of life. Do you understand? That's why at the moment of consciousness, we call it yoniso manasikara. Manasikara is attention. Yoniso is wisdom. Wisdom at the moment of sense experience. Sense, that moment of experience, is they call it the attention. Yoniso manasikara. So that moment when you experience a sense experience, this wisdom will come out and prompt you straight away. The initial wisdom. Sabbe sankara anicca, sabbe sankara dukkha, sabbe dhamma anatta. Then rupang aniccang, rupang anatta. Straight away it will come out and prompt you. Then the world is the world. People are just the way they are. The reality is conditioned like that, things will like that. So all this understanding will be there. So when they come out and prompt you in the midst of life, you no longer react. You can accept things as they are. You can see things as they are. You can be with the moment, full of joy, full of peacefulness, tranquility, stillness, awareness. And you learn very fast. That's how the daily mindfulness develops. Then with sati and samadhi, your mind no longer waver. Because samadhi is collectedness of mind and the unwavering mind. So at the moment of seeing sense experience, or hearing, or thinking, or smell, taste, tactile, the mind does not stir anymore. Because it's collected and unwavering. So it can see things as they are. And the memory and the views, opinion and conditioning does not interfere with the see. That's why you can see things as they are. Jnana dasana. Then you can awaken. You can insight into phenomena with the silent mind. Not with the Dhamma knowledge and the thought process. That's how the cultivation come to be. So daily mindfulness is very important. You must have a good religious routine. That's why do your puja at home morning before you sleep. Then in between, maintain daily mindfulness. Then formal meditation, train your spiritual faculty. Then do your religious routine. Then meditate until mind enters deep. Then maintain this mind state when you come out. You have to develop the daily mindfulness until very stable. So daily mindfulness, which is very stable, the Buddha called it sati sampajana. Okay, mindfulness and clear comprehension. That is the step after the initial wisdom. Avijja Sutta. Step 1 is to have Dhamma friend. Step 2 is constantly listening to the Dhamma, to straighten your view, to develop the initial wisdom, to develop the faith. Then step 3 is the faith in the Buddha and his teaching. Then step 4 is the initial wisdom, yoniso manasikara, means wise attention at the moment of sense experience. Then after that, you will have sati sampajana, means daily mindfulness. Mindfulness and clear comprehension. Clear comprehension is to prevent you from debating, making mistakes. The moment you hit this step 5, you can see things very clearly. You can understand things very clearly. Then you will never break your precept. That's why step 6 is sense restraint become possible. So when you have that, means your 4 right effort can be developed. Especially your second right effort. Right effort to prevent the unwholesome thought from arising. Because this initial wisdom will surface, prompt you, and straight away you know. Then that defilement ceases to be. Then later on it can't even arise. Exactly like what the Buddha described under the Satipatthana Sutta. Then with sense restraint, the 3 types of right conduct, right speech, right thought, and right action. These 3 become possible. That's how the Noble Eightfold Path is cultivated. Angie? So your question is, how to develop this daily mindfulness and linking it to Noble Eightfold Path to develop the wisdom, to enlighten, to awaken. And this is what heedfulness is all about. So daily mindfulness leading to the cultivation of Noble Eightfold Path. That's how you cultivate. So initially, I just summarize again. If you don't have the spiritual faculty, develop it. After you have the spiritual faculty, develop the devotional practice. Have a religious routine. Develop your daily mindfulness. Because when these 5 spiritual faculties are there, your progress is very fast. The hindrance, no more. Because it will cancel the hindrance. Then you realize throughout the day, you are most of the time in sati. Then when you have stabilized, samadhi is always there. That's why you are always tranquil, peaceful, still, aware. Throughout the day, because your mind has entered sati. Then wisdom keep on arising. Dhamma keep on awakening. That's how the spiritual faculty can transform the cultivator. And this 5 is very important. And this one normally, initially you start with the first 2 and you have to develop the 3. Sati. Sati is not easy. But when you understand, it's very easy. Just do, don't try to know. Until the sati come, your form and mind will know. That's why when you bow, just bow. When you walk, just walk. Don't try to know. Make it a point to be aware, mindful throughout the day. Whatever you do, exactly like Satipatthana Sutta. If you need an object of meditation, you can start with Anapanasati or anything else. Technically, you don't need an object of meditation. But because the Buddha used Anapanasati, then last time when I started, I also don't know. The Anapanasati just come to me. It was from my past. That's why I went through the whole process of Anapanasati, and I come to know what pasati is. the silent mind, the tranquility of mind, the stillness of mind, and how mind enters sati. It happened in my form and mind. That's why I can explain to you, and I understand what this thing is. Then when mind enters sati, I realize the moment you come out of it, you become so different. Your mind becomes so different. Your mind is in sati. Means every moment of hearing is in sati. Every moment of seeing is in sati. Every moment of mental movement or activity or the thought process is all in sati. Where this sati can follow. It's like your good companion. It's constantly with you. That's why the Buddha used the word ever mindful. You are ever mindful, constantly meditative, constantly cultivating Noble Eightfold Path. Right view leading to right thought, right speech, right action, and right living or right livelihood. Then the four right effort. Then your sati is very stable, leading to samadhi in the midst of life. That's why without sati sampajana, the daily mindfulness, stability of it, you cannot. The Avijja Sutta, very beautiful. Step 2, leading to step 4, is very important. Then step 4 will give rise to step 5, sati sampajana. Once you have that, you are home. You are heedful. Then sense restraint, automatic. Your precept you cannot violate. You can see the evil root, everything very clearly. Then after that, there are 3 types of right conduct, automatic inside you. You can have them. Then after that, the 8th step is cultivating the 4 foundation of mindfulness. That one become very easy. But after that, you will understand the 4 foundation very easy. But most of it you have done already before you even go into that cultivation. Especially Kayanupassana, you have done them all. Then after that, when you read the sutta, the 4 foundation of mindfulness, on feeling, you understand the word very clearly. Not the Dhamma, the word very clearly. Then Chittanupassana also, you understand very clearly. Because your mind enters sati, you can see that. Then Dhamma Nupassana become even more clear. Mindfulness of the 5 mental hindrances. That one is no more problem. You have gone through it. Then mindfulness of the 5 aggregate of form and mind also, by then it becomes very clear. That's why you know how you function as a human being. You know who are you, what are you. You must have gone through it. Otherwise you cannot understand. Then mindfulness of the 6 internal sense bases and 6 external, you must have also done it. Otherwise you cannot develop the stability of sati. The stability of sati will allow you to see all this very clearly. So when you have that, your understanding will unfold. That's why the 4th category of cultivation under the 4 foundation of mindfulness, the 4th foundation, Dhammanupassana. After mindfulness of the 5 mental hindrances, 5 aggregates of form and mind, then the mindfulness of the 6 internal and 6 external sense bases. The 4th one is mindfulness of the 7 factors of enlightenment. That is Avijja Sutta step 9. The 7 factors of enlightenment keep on arising, you realize. Then you know you're on the right path. You know you are destined for enlightenment. That's why step 10 is enlightenment in the here and the now. Nibbana can be realized. So all this will become very clear to you. The 10th step of the Avijja Sutta become very clear to you. Then your cultivation also become very different. So under the 4th foundation of mindfulness, there are 5 categories of practices of cultivation. Just now we reached the 4th one, mindfulness of 7 factors of enlightenment. The last one is mindfulness of 4 noble truths, the 3 turning. Yeah. You have to go through that again. So mindfulness of the 4 noble truths, the 3 turning, you will go through the whole thing, the 4 foundation of mindfulness, leading to mindfulness of 4 noble truths. And it will cover Noble Eightfold Path, the 4th noble truth. That's how the whole Satipatthana accumulate back to the Noble Eightfold Path. So whatever meditation you do, if it does not bring you back to the Four Noble Truths, especially the Noble Eightfold Path, that is not the meditation as taught by the Buddha. So it's not just about experiencing fantastic meditation, fantastic mind state. No, those are not important. More important is how you train your mind to be ever mindful, to develop the wisdom, the understanding of who you are, what you are, and how you function as a human being, how your senses operate, how it conditions the form of mind into delusion, and how through straightening your view you awaken and you reverse the whole process. That's why the Avijja Sutta reverse. You got the enlightenment sequence. The other one is the Avijja sequence, how you fall. So enlightenment sequence is very beautiful. That's how you develop the understanding of meditation. When you understand meditation, you know how to meditate. Then you know how to develop the understanding to cultivate. Then you will be on the right path. And you will progress very fast, very smoothly. So developing mindfulness can be done in many ways. Okay? So what I have added, which is not in the sutta, which is I find it personally very useful, is the daily religious routine. You must have a routine. Actually, the Buddha didn't mention it, but in his teaching, it's like more or less pointing out to you that is what you have to do. Because he teach all the things that you do in the religious routine. Puja, taught by him. That's why when you wake up, first thing you do is pay respect. Understand? Then do your puja. Chant. Salutation to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato. Then after that, continue. Renew your refuge. Take your refuge. Renew your precepts. Then share merit, transfer merit towards the end. Then if you want to chant salutation to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha so that you understand what this triple gem is, you can chant them if you have the time. Then after that, meditate. Meditate. Silence your mind. If you want to radiate metta, you can do. So metta is very useful, very important, and I use them a lot in the early days. And my mind states become very beautiful. Then later on, I shift out to daily mindfulness. The daily mindfulness was the final accumulation of my cultivation. Because before that, I was in full absorption. My anapanasati becomes so stable, it becomes like continuous until I can go into absorption. My mind is absorbed into it until no thought. But that one is apana samadhi, too deep, cannot develop wisdom, too still. That type of mind cannot develop wisdom, cannot come out. That's why finally I release it out and develop daily mindfulness, accumulating to heedfulness, apamada. That's how I came to understand all the cultivation.